Hey folks, welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to look at a Winchester Xpert steel shot. Another what's in the box. I put a picture on Facebook of a few boxes of these that I had gotten, I think yesterday in the mail. And I was going to open up by saying we're going to review the long-awaited Winchester 3-inch steel, but the fact of the matter is nobody was waiting on it because I don't think anybody knew that it was going to come out. The only reason I knew is that Olin Winchester had actually submitted the 3-inch 28 gauge to be accepted by Sammy. So in that submittal, you know, they had their different, I think they're going to have a steel offering, a bismuth offering, and then a lead offering too. The bismuth, I'm pretty sure is available right now too. I had an opportunity to get some, and well, anybody does. But I think the going price right now was like $64 a box for 25. I am not wanting to get into that kind of money just to pattern a factory round. But the reason I do this stuff, and I may too, I shouldn't say I never will. I might get some just for you guys. And that's why I do the what's in the box. So what's in the box is basically me testing and opening up factory ammo. Especially right now, it's the 1st of October, 2nd of October, something like that. And waterfowl season is upon us. Upland game is going to be upon us. Matter of fact, dove season's probably been open for a month in a lot of places. But anyway, if you don't reload, which I think a lot of the people that watch these, you know, my videos, they don't necessarily reload, but they shoot 28 gauge and 410. So I think would be nice to show folks, hey, this is what's available. You can go out and buy this. You can order it, get it sent to your house. That's what I did. I got this from Midwest Gunworks. I think that was the name of the place. It was $21.99 a box, which, I mean, I don't think that's terribly bad for factory ammunition. 3-inch, I don't know. It's a lot of money, don't get me wrong. But anyway, I got it because, number one, I wanted to see what it was made of, but also, what are the holes like for reloading? Everybody knows that the AAHS 2 and 3/4 inch hole is probably the most popular hole to be reloaded in, you know, for the 28 gauge. Maybe not so much for people like myself, just because of the volume, but I wanted to get my hands on some just so I could look at the holes. But anyway, what I'm going to do is just like every other what's in the box. If you haven't seen any other what's in the boxes, go back through, you know, to my video homepage, and there's a bunch of them, right? So anyway, I've patterned this. Long day of patterning. I patterned this along with 3 other factory loads in 28 gauge. Also working on 2.5-inch TSS duplex for 410. Man, I get requests for that all the time. I've just never put one together, but guess what? I'm putting one together now. I'm on today was the 2nd run of testing. I need to make a couple of adjustments, and then I'll be able to send that off hopefully by this time next week. It depends on whenever I can get back out to the farm. My farm is actually a VRBO, or a short-term rental property, and I've actually had someone out there for the last 2 weeks. So I can't go out there testing shotgun ammunition while I've got guests at my farm. But anyway, I'll be able to get out there. I've got some openings up soon, and I'll block it off for a bit for me to hunt out there too later on in the month. But anyway, so I've got some new loads that I'm working up for 410. I'm also working on a bismuth, a buffered bismuth for 28 gauge, and also a buffered bismuth in 410. So keep an eye out for those videos. Those things, I shoot a lot of footage, and I can't put a lot of it together until I get good tested data back. I hope y'all understand that. But anyway, so I did pattern these, went out to the farm. I have footage of that. I should. I haven't actually looked at it or downloaded it, but I did have the cameras out there for that. And then, so we'll take a look at the shooting these, and then also we'll go over the patterns. I have the patterns, and then we'll kind of discuss it later. I'll go ahead and tell you, I'm a bit disappointed. So I think you'll understand why when we start breaking things down, looking at patterns and all that kind of stuff. But if nothing else, this stuff's going to be available for people that don't reload. You know, you got a gun that shoots 3 inches, you need some ammo, and you can either go to a store that'll probably be stocking this, or you can order it online and it'll be to your house, or you can ship it to wherever you're going to be hunting in 3 or 4 days. So anyway, let me get you over here, this side of the bench. We'll break one of these down and see what he's made of. All right, so here's the box. So high velocity steel shot, 28 gauge, 3 inches, 1,350 feet per second. It's what they're listing this at. 3/4 ounce, number 4 shot. Got a big old picture of a pheasant and a friggin' pintail sprig. How about that? All right, on the back of it, you know, what's really interesting is a lot of the Winchester, you know, packaging, they'll show a cutaway of what's in the hull and all this kind of stuff. They don't on this one. Of course, they talk about upland steel shot. So 4 and 6 shot. Hey man, this stuff's good for small ducks, rabbits, squirrels, pheasants, right? So anyway, nothing real special else about that. Now let's open him up. So when I posted the picture on Facebook, somebody was asking me, is this an HS hull? And well, it says right there on the bottom, Win 28 gauge HS. Don't know if you can see that, but it's right there. 76 millimeters. That means it's a 3-inch steel shot. And on the shell itself, it says Xpert pheasant. So, you know, maybe they're gearing this towards pheasants. Obviously, it'll work for ducks too. But crimp, real nice. It's a super deep crimp compared to any other kind of Winchester offering that I've seen in 28 gauge. You know, most of the 28 gauge in Winchester is nice and flat on top, just a very little depth. And there's actually a good bit of depth to that crimp. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. But anyway, I'm sure it's just a Win 209 primer. But yeah, this is a nice, smooth HS hull. If nothing else, it should run in a lot of guns really smooth if there's issues with European type hulls, Chadites, Fiocchi, stuff like that. But anyway, what I'm gonna do, let's break this thing apart and see what's going on with it. All right, at this point, I've got it open enough just to get the shot out. And we can see the shot just by looking at it initially. Man, it doesn't look like that nice shiny steel shot that I've been buying. So let's put this thing on the scale, and let's just empty him out here and see what we got. Okay, we got him all? Yeah, look, empty. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there ain't nothing else in there. And I don't know if you can see this either, but 296.8 grains. Yeah, that's a little light. that's matter of fact, that's not even 11/16. That's 300 grains. Wow. Yep. It says 3/4 ounce. See that? Woo. I don't know. Maybe there's a big, I don't know, a variance that they can put in there or that they're comfortable with. I don't know. Let's take a look at this shot. Okay. Try to get you guys in here. All right. Well, now I know what people are talking about with Xpert steel loads. Look here, folks. I haven't shot steel shot in any other gauge besides 28 in probably 15 years, maybe even longer than that. And I've never bought any factory steel shot for 28 gauge. It's always been years ago for 12 gauge. So all the steel shot that I'm used to is, this kind of stuff. As a matter of fact, you can believe it or not, a lot of this is reclaimed from my shot trap. See the little bit of discoloration? This is number 5 steel. But wow, this is a completely different story. There's dimples in this stuff. That one is shaped like a muffin. It's not all exactly the same size. I'd say that one's bigger than that one. I mean, that looks like a number 5. That looks like an egg. That one's literally got a hole. This is, matter of fact, speaking of holes, I don't know if you can see that. There's actually a hole in that one. This one's got a tail or a nub on it. I know you guys probably can't see this at all. Wow. Disappointing. So yeah, I understand now. I get the Xpert. I guess, Xpert is supposed to be kind of the value line of the steel shot for Winchester. And I know years ago, you could go into Academy, Walmart, or whatever, and you could buy Xpert 12 gauge for, well, I'm not going to quote prices because I don't really know. I didn't buy any, but I know it was always much, much less money than like a Blindside or a Dry Lock or whatever else. But yeah, so we're light on payload. Okay. Yeah, not real good. I pause this for a second. I've counted these pellets out. There's 124 pellets on this piece of paper, right? 124 pellets. Now, there's supposed to be 143 pellets in 3/4 ounce. So they've shorted us by about 20 pellets. I mean, that's the way I look at it, right? That's the way I look at it. Now it's starting to really make sense why the patterns look like they do. And not so much why they look like they do, but why the pellet count is what it is, okay? So knowing that there's only 124 pellets in these loads, and by the way, I did it twice just to make sure I didn't get one of the hulls that were just, no good, so I did it to 2 of them and they're exactly the same. Now, so this is a hull that I've already opened up. This is one, the first one. I was trying to get the wad out because, when we do a what's in the box, we want to get the wads out and see what they are, and then the powder and all this kind of stuff. So here's the problem with this thing. I've worked and worked and worked on it, and I can't get this wad out, so we're gonna have to cut the wad out. Got my little box cutter knife deal here. So I'm just gonna cut this rim off. All right, so that should let us get in there and get this wad out. All right. Well, that looks a little familiar. Okay. Let me get some of this powder off. All right. Well, looky there. It looks like 2 wads kind of made in one. Looks a whole lot like a TPS wad. Matter of fact, let me grab one. So here's a TPS wad, and I'll be dang, they're almost identical except for the cushion part here, right? So, you know, I'd have to check volume wise, and I may do that just to see. I kind of boogered this one up trying to get it out of the hole. What's interesting is it's got a long slit here and then short slits. Long, you see that? Long, and that one's a little bit longer. This one's short right here for some reason. I don't know if there's a method to that madness. But anyway, it's a TPS with legs. That's what it looks like to me. It's actually a little bit thicker up here than the TPS. Need to do a little bit more dissection on that. So we'll get into that. All right, let's see how much powder is in this jugger. Let's make sure we got it all. .5 grains of something, right? So 18.5 grains. But it's looks like a double baseball powder of some type. Again, not going to speculate what it is. But that is the WinAAHS 3-inch, 3/4 ounce steel shot load. So let's go out to the farm, shoot these juggers. All right, Winchester Xpert steel, 3-inch, number 4 shot, 35 yards. Winchester 3-inch Xpert steel, number 4 shot, 35 yards, improved cylinder choke. All right, 3-inch Winchester, 3/4 ounce, number 4 shot, 35 yards, modified choke. All right. Hope you guys can see this good. So what I did is I went out and, you know, I patterned, I think I mentioned this in the past, but I like to pattern based on the performance of the load that I'm shooting, where I would expect, max range to be. A number 4 steel, regardless of how much shot is in it, I probably would like to keep birds in 35 yards, okay? I wouldn't expect it to do a whole lot unless you hit a head or a neck at 40 or over 35. So I patterned this at 35 yards. It may seem a little unconventional, but that's what I did, right? Because that's what I feel is about the performance range of a number 4 shot going 1,350 feet per second, okay? Now, I shot the Benelli Super Black Eagle 3, was my test gun that I shot the patterns with. I used all factory chokes, okay? So, all factory chokes, just because, well, I don't have any aftermarket chokes for it. And, most people don't either. So they're going to have what the gun has. So what I shot cylinder, improved cylinder, and modified. The reason I didn't shoot anything above modified is because my improved modified and my full basically says right on the choke tube, no steel shot, okay? So I did not use those, right? And I think from seeing the patterns, you might realize that we probably wouldn't need them anyways. But anyway, cylinder choke, pretty sparse pattern. I would expect that out of a cylinder choke. Lots of open space. There's 100 pellets on the sheet, and this sheet is approximately 40 inches wide, probably 48 inches tall. This is a 30-inch circle. I draw the circles after I shoot just to contain as many pellets as I can. I'm not the best shot in the world. Sometimes I'm left, sometimes I'm right, high, low, whatever. You'll see me shooting off of a bench sometimes in the videos. The reason I shoot off of a bench is because 99% of the time, I'm also shooting through a chronograph. And I just don't want to take a chance of blowing up my chronograph freehanding a shot. So anyway, now, 100 pellets on the circle. What you have to keep in mind is this shell only started with 124 pellets to begin with. So there's only 24 pellets that are missing. With cylinder choke, it's not bad. Little open, it's not a great pattern. I mean, I think everybody can see that. So let's move on to improved cylinder. All right, improved cylinder at 35 yards. Man, what a heck of a difference a little bit of choke makes, right? not a lot, but just literally a little bit. From cylinder to improved cylinder, there's 121 pellets on the paper, and there's only 2, 4, 6, 8, there's only 10 outside of the circle. So that makes 111 inside the 30-inch circle. And you have to understand, we only started with 124 to begin with. So it's a pretty good pattern as far as efficiency is concerned. But the problem is there's only 124 pellets in this daggum load to begin with. That's kind of what irks me about this. Could you imagine if we had another 20 pellets to work with here? Could we maybe have filled in some of this stuff? And by the way, we're seeing a core right here, right? So it's not a bad pattern, but we're shooting a 2 3/4 inch load out of a 3-inch gun. So, and by the way, when we do the review out of this, you're going to see some other stuff that's, it may even make you more angry. But anyway, improved cylinder with what we're working with is a great choke for this gun. All right, so let's take a look at modified. All right, modified choke, okay? It doesn't look a whole lot different than the improved cylinder. Matter of fact, there's only 7 pellets outside of the circle, right? Where with the improved cylinder, we had 10. The rest are in here. Again, we see a nice core, a few little holes. And look here, if you're hunting ducks over decoys and you put that on a duck, the joker's done. I mean, I think everybody can see that. It's just, you know, I really wished we got what we thought we were getting. But 117 pellets, that's, let's see. So that's 7 pellets short of what should have been in the shell, right? So let's go back to the bench, and I want to show you some other stuff that's going on with this load. So come back to the bench with me, and we'll finish this up. All right. Man, we've looked at the patterns. We shot the patterns. I'm almost at a loss for words. I'm so, I guess disappointed. You know what I'm saying? And look, I shouldn't be, because every time I do a what's in the box, 9 times out of 10, it's on a lead offering, right? And 9 times out of 10, when it comes to payload, we're always getting shorted just a little bit. You know, not a ton. I mean, you know, it might be 2 or 3 pellets. I actually think maybe it was, I don't want to quote it, but there have been a couple of loads that we've looked at, we've broken down, and you know, if it says 3/4 ounce, we're getting 3/4 ounce. So good on those manufacturers, right, that actually give you what they say they're giving you. And I don't know if there's a tolerance. I don't think anybody regulates this stuff as far as what you're actually getting versus what's advertised. But it would be nice that if something says 3/4 ounce, you actually get 3/4 ounce or pretty daggone close, right? Not a complete fraction different. Not 11/16, right? So anyway, I wanted to talk to you about something else that I found as I was cleaning up. Well, not really cleaning up. I mean, I was just going back and changing patterns back and forth. And I noticed a couple of wads that were a little further down range or closer to my shot trap than normal. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. So I picked these wads up. And I've got 3 here because I did some more shooting beyond, you know, just the patterning. I just did some other shooting. But anyway, so here's a spent wad. Again, it opens up just like a TPS. It has little tiny legs on it. But here's what's going to make you maybe a little upset. It's the same exact thing that us reloaders deal with that use the TPS wad. There are 2, 4, 5, there are 6 welding slag shot in that wad. That's after I shot it. So this could have been the 117 shot on target. You add this shot to it, if it would have made it to the target. And look, you know, 6 shots, is it a hill of beans? I don't know. But when you're paying $1 a round, you shouldn't end up with this. This is another one, right? And this one has 2, 4, this one has 6. Number 4, steel welding slag in it. And look, I'm a little upset. I keep saying welding slag, and the reason I say that is because I've read it online. I've never experienced it until today. And after the results that I'm seeing, you know, you get a little upset when you spend you know, $1 a round for, number 1, shot that doesn't fully make it to the target. It's almost like bismuth, right? When you put X grains of bismuth in a load, you expect for X grains to get to your target. Well, just by the nature of bismuth, sometimes it just don't get there. But anyway, you also expect that shot that you're buying, that you're not getting the amount you thought you were getting, that's not making to the target that you thought was going to make to the target. It looks like, I don't know what. I mean, look, Winchester, I've loved Winchester all my life. I've got a bunch of Model 12s. My dad has I've shot their ammo for a long time before I started reloading. But in my eyes, when you take the pretty away from the box and the pretty away from the hull, which is a great looking hull, by the way, I mean, that was very attractive. There's some wild stuff going on with this. I don't know the velocity. Normally I trust, hey, if this says 1350, it's probably going 1350. But my chronograph was having some issues. I don't know if I had it too close or also had some shadows in the sun. Something wasn't going on, and I didn't get chrono readings, accurate chrono readings for the first, I think, 3 or 4 groups that I shot through it, and I made some adjustments, got it into full sun, and then it was okay. But anyway, kind of disappointing. Here's like the only lining in the cloud that I can come up with. This is Xpert steel, right? So this is their economy or value line offering of steel shot. From what I can gather, I'm sure there's a step above this, and there might even be like a ultra premium where, maybe they have a larger wad that's going to hold more shot, or maybe they have a wad that they figured out that's not going to contain the shot downrange. Maybe they're going to get something to get the velocity up that would actually be considered high velocity. 1,350 feet per second, again, in my eyes, is not super high velocity. Give me something at 1,450, 1,500 feet per second. I would say, hey, that's high velocity. That's pretty speedy stuff, right? So as far as the patterns go, I'm actually surprised that shot that looks like this patterns that well. I mean, really, I am. I would expect to have flyers all over the place, but we don't. Most of that shot, whatever 124 shot is in this, shell, I pretty much know exactly where it ended up, either on that target or in the base of that wad. Then I can account for everything. It's not like, bismuth or even some lead loads where there's 20 or 30 shots you can't account for. You have no idea where it's at. It's flown out, this way, that way, whatever. But anyway, hopefully they come in and offer a nicer, nice polished steel shot. I don't know. I probably will be checking. I got 4 boxes of this stuff. Oh, the hull. So this appears to be a double AHS hull. I mean, it's just a longer version of it. Now, with that being said, I have measured it against a Fiocchi and the Chetite and the Federal, because I've got a bunch of Federal premium stuff too. And by the way, that stuff performs a lot better. Wait for that what's in the box. So anyway, the length of the hull, they're all very, very close. So you would think that the volume would be a little bit closer, but the base on the inside of this has kind of a hump in it. I'll have to cut one up and show it to you. And it could be just because the primer that's in there now, and it's a spent shell, the primer's expanded. I don't know. I need to pop the primers out, resize them, and then take a look and see what the volume is. The reason I say that is the 2 3/4 inch AAHS hull, when it comes to non-toxic type stuff, steel, bismuth, anything that you need a bit more volume. Number one, to either hold more shot or just to have the volume inside the hull for pressure purposes. The AA hulls normally aren't that great, right? They're good for lead loads. I mean, you can load, like I have some stuff that's available on my website for like 300 grains of steel, 11/16 ounce of steel in a AAHS. By the way, that's the same amount of steel that's in this load right now. Matter of fact, it's more. There's 300 grains in that 2 3/4 inch data that's for sale on my website than actually in this 3-inch load, which makes me wonder. And I guess I may order or buy some of this stuff because I've seen it locally. Is the 5/8 ounce Xpert steel? I don't even know if they call it Xpert steel. I think they just call it high velocity steel shot or upland steel shot from Winchester. And I may get some from Federal and whoever else makes it too. Because now I'm wondering, well, wait a minute. If they're saying this is 3/4 and it's actually 11/16, how much is in there 5/8? Is it a half ounce? I mean, think about that, right? So I'm not saying this won't work. Matter of fact, I know it will. You saw the patterns. That improved cylinder pattern was actually really good at 35 yards. It would put down a mallard or anything else that's got their feet down in the decoys. I think that's a given, right? So I'm not saying the ammo won't work. I'm just a little upset that it's not what we thought it was going to be, or what I thought it was going to be, especially for $22 a box, right? To me, that's super expensive, but hey, I've had a birthday recently and I'm getting older. So you can reload for much less money, okay? Much less money, especially steel shot. And steel, to me, is a viable duck killer, especially if you're talking 35 yards and in. I don't want to get into a big rant about that. But anyway, what else about the AAHS? Other than lack of shot getting stuck in the wads, don't know what the velocity is. I won't comment until I actually get it measured. It just didn't seem right to me. So anyway, in the future, today I shot Federal Black Cloud 3-inch. I patterned number 4 shot at 35 yards. Okay. I also shot Black Cloud 3-inch number 3 shot. I patterned it at 40 yards. I also patterned Boss 2 3/4 inch 28 gauge, 3.5 duplex blend, whatever they call it. 2 different shots in the same shell. Shot that today. So keep an eye out for those. I still need to mark up those patterns and put all that stuff together, but keep an eye out for those what's in the boxes. They'll be interesting. I may even pit the Winchester Xpert steel up against the Federal Black Cloud. Now, knowing what I know, it's not a fair match because I'm assuming the Federal Black Cloud is a premium type offering where Xpert is not, okay? But I may still do it just to because I know they're both available, and I think that's about the only steel shot in 3-inch that is available. But anyway, let me know if y'all want to see that kind of stuff. I've already talked about some other stuff I'm working on, 2.5-inch TSS duplex. Also, man, I'm getting a ton of requests. Winchester AAHS, this goes back to that hole. I'm also working on half-ounce and steel duplex, TSS steel duplex for the Win AAHS. It's I've been working on it for a long time. I'm really close. It's just I've always put it on the back burner because I myself would never shoot it because, well, I have other options. But there's a lot of people out there, I think, that either have a bunch of those hulls or that's the only hull that they can go out and buy, like off the shelf, and then reload them. So it would be useful to a lot of folks to have that. And also the AA hulls, they run really nice through a lot of different guns. Some guns don't run real good with Euro hulls if they're not done properly. Shoot, don't even have to be Euro hulls. I had a Bear with Federal Top guns. Matter of fact, I may just give a bunch of them away if anybody wants them. So anyway, thank y'all for watching. I hope this video was helpful. Sometimes these, doing this stuff makes me ask more questions than that I got answers to, right? So anyway, look, if y'all haven't subscribed to this channel, man, just hit that button. There's a button, I think it's right down there on the right. It says subscribe. Just click on it. And then there's a thing that says something about notifications, a little bell, and whenever a new video comes out, it'll actually, when you see your feed or all the channels you subscribe to or to the left, there'll be a little blue dot, and that means, hey, Bullet put out a new video. Let's go check out what he's talking about today. So anyway, that would help out tremendously. I think that's about it. Thanks for watching, folks. Bye.